Right. And then says, smells good. And she says, it's my body makeup. That's her big harassment moment.
Hollywood. A place where drama isn't just scripted, it's a lifestyle. Egos clash, lawsuits flourish, and the idea of professionalism is more flexible than a yoga instructor on a caffeine binge. And today's headliner? None other than Blake Lively, whose lawsuit against Justin Baldoni is proof that drama doesn't just stay on the big screen, it spills into courtrooms too. Because let's face it, nothing screams Hollywood like turning a harmless slow dance scene into a full-blown legal war. According to Lively, what should have been a quiet, unscripted moment during filming turned into a nightmare. She claims Baldoni couldn't keep his lips, or apparently his comments, to himself. And while most of us would take a compliment on our body makeup as a win, for Lively, it's somehow grounds for legal action. But wait, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill lawsuit. Oh no, this one comes with leaked footage, contradictory evidence, and enough hypocrisy to make even the most seasoned celebrity gossip enthusiast roll their eyes. So buckle up, because this is about to get as absurd as Hollywood itself. Ready for the punchline? TMZ got their hands on the so-called harassment moment, and spoiler alert, it's about as scandalous as a Hallmark movie. But don't worry, we'll get into that later. For now, let's dive headfirst into this slow dance disaster and see how Lively's attempt at victimhood is unraveling faster than a cheap red carpet dress. So here's the tea, or should I say the body makeup. Blake Lively's lawsuit paints quite the picture of Justin Baldoni during what was supposed to be a sweet, unscripted slow dance scene. According to her, Baldoni took it upon himself to turn the moment into an audition for Creepy Guys Anonymous. She alleges that he leaned in, dragged his lips from her ear to her neck, and whispered, "It smells so good." Now, let's unpack that for a second. First off, who even compliments body makeup? Was this supposed to be seductive, or was he genuinely impressed with the department's work? Second, this happened on a film set, aka a room packed with cameras, crew, and about 17 people holding boom mics. If this was harassment, it's got to be the least subtle attempt in Hollywood history. Imagine the guy in post-production just rolling his eyes like, oh great, now I have to edit out a lawsuit. But it doesn't stop there. When Lively allegedly confronted Baldoni about his behavior, his response was a chef's kiss of absurdity. "I'm not even attracted to you." Excuse me, sir, but if this isn't the classic Hollywood gaslight playbook, I don't know what is. It's the equivalent of stealing someone's lunch and then claiming you're on a diet. Of course, Lively's side wants you to believe this moment was entirely unprovoked, a spontaneous act of creepiness on Baldoni's part. But hold on, because this story is about to take a TMZ-certified turn. Yep, the footage is here, and guess what? It's not quite the scandal she's selling. Yes, Hollywood loves a good he said, she said, but what happens when there's actual footage? Enter TMZ, our favorite purveyor of drama who managed to get their hands on the infamous slow dance scene. Spoiler alert, it's less scandalous harassment and more awkward high school prom. Here's what the clip shows. Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni are holding hands, laughing, and trying to make the scene look romantic. Sure, there's a little playful banter about body makeup, and at one point, Baldoni leans in and says, "Smells good." Shocking, right? Call the FBI. But wait, why listen to me describe it when you can see it for yourself? Here's the clip in question. Pay attention to the body language, the laughter, and the absolute lack of anything remotely resembling harassment.
He knows what I need without you.
Let's score another.
If you should
I'm not getting a beard on you today.
I'm probably getting a spray tan on you.
That smells good.
Well, it's not bad. It's my body makeup.
I could show nothing to me. So what good would living do me?
And they win! They won!
All right, cut. I think we got plenty.
Yes.
Slow motion. It's going to be a 17-minute reel.
See what I mean? It's giving more behind-the-scenes blooper than career-ending scandal. You've got Lively giggling, Baldoni making a harmless comment, and the two of them clearly aware they're being filmed. Honestly, if this is harassment, then every rom-com ever made deserves a class action lawsuit. What's even more ridiculous is that Lively's team still wants us to believe this moment is some sort of smoking gun. But here's the kicker. If this is the best evidence they've got, we're looking at a lawsuit that's flimsier than a Hollywood marriage. So let's take a moment to appreciate the absurdity here. According to Blake Lively's complaint, this scene was an absolute violation of her boundaries. But what we just saw looked more like two actors doing their job, pretending to be in love for the camera. Sure, Baldoni made a comment about how she smelled, but is that harassment or just a weird attempt at staying in character? You decide. Now, let's talk context. This wasn't some private moment in a dimly lit corner of the set. This happened in a room packed with crew members, cameras rolling, and probably a craft services table not too far away. You know, because nothing says let me harass someone like doing it in front of 20 witnesses and a recording device. Oh, and let's not forget the playful banter. Lively was giggling, talking about body makeup, and holding hands with Baldoni like it was the prom all over again. If this was truly an uncomfortable moment, she deserves an Oscar for hiding it. But no, she's framing it as some traumatic event that Hollywood will never recover from. Honestly, the only thing traumatizing about this situation is how much secondhand embarrassment I'm getting from this lawsuit. Here's where things really start to feel like a Hollywood comedy. Lively claims Baldoni was caressing her with his mouth, whatever that means, while also making it clear that he's not even attracted to her. I mean, pick a lane, Justin. Are you creepy or just overly honest? Either way, this entire situation feels less like a serious allegation and more like the setup for a bad sitcom. And just when you thought it couldn't get any funnier, Lively's legal team doubles down. They argue that this one moment proves a pattern of harassment. A pattern, mind you, that seems to involve more playful banter than actual misconduct. If this is the new standard for harassment, Hollywood's going to need a bigger courtroom.
They are playfully acting for the camera, trying to make it look like two lovers, two people in a relationship are dancing with one another. She's giggling, she's holding his hands. They are not speaking as their characters because the sound was not going to be used in the film, but they are in character.
And now we arrive at the part of the saga where Blake Lively takes things up a notch. In her lawsuit, she boldly aligns herself with the #MeToo movement, framing this incident as yet another example of Hollywood's deeply ingrained culture of harassment. But here's the problem. This scandal has more holes in it than a pair of designer jeans. For starters, Lively's claim of being a Me Too victim conveniently leaves out one tiny detail: context. Remember those text messages Baldoni's team produced? You know, the ones where Lively invited him to her trailer while she was breastfeeding? Yeah, those don't exactly scream harassment victim. It's giving mixed signals, to say the least. If Baldoni was so terrifying, why was she casually texting him like they were planning a coffee date? And then there's the infamous pornography allegation. Lively claims that Baldoni's producer showed her inappropriate material on set. Sounds awful, right? Except the so-called pornography turned out to be a completely non-explicit photo of a couple holding their newborn baby after a home birth. Yep, that's the smoking gun. Imagine the jury's faces when they see that. Ladies and gentlemen, we present Exhibit A, wholesome family content. But let's circle back to the #MeToo angle. By invoking such a serious and important movement, Lively seems to be banking on public sympathy to bolster her case. The problem? It's hard to rally sympathy when the evidence against her paints a very different picture. For every claim she makes, there's a receipt, a text, or a piece of footage that contradicts it. At this point, it feels less like she's fighting for justice and more like she's fighting for headlines. Here's the thing about the #MeToo movement. It's about holding real predators accountable, not weaponizing it for personal PR battles. And honestly, the more this case unfolds, the more it looks like Lively is exploiting a legitimate movement to settle a professional grudge. If this is her idea of justice, Hollywood might need to start handing out legal disclaimers with every casting call.
Just tell me what it was like also collaborating with Blake.
Oh, she's a creative force. She's a genius. She was involved in every aspect of this production, and everything she touched, she made better.
If there's one thing Hollywood knows how to do, it's turning lawsuits into full-blown media circuses. And Blake Lively? Oh, she's proving to be quite the ringmaster. Before filing her lawsuit, she conveniently ran to the New York Times with her claims, setting the stage for a public narrative where she's the damsel in distress and Justin Baldoni is the big bad wolf. Subtle, right? Here's how it played out. Lively files a complaint with the California Human Rights Office, a move that her legal team insists was purely procedural. But let's call it what it is, a PR stunt. Because not long after, the juicy details somehow made their way to the Times. Coincidence? Sure, and I'm sure TMZ will stop covering scandals tomorrow, but it doesn't stop there. Lively isn't just playing the victim, she's also playing the media like a violin. By leaking selective details to the press, she ensured the court of public opinion got involved before the actual courts did. It's the Hollywood way. Why wait for a judge when you can get Twitter to side with you first? Of course, Baldoni didn't take this lying down. His team clapped back with their own media leaks, including footage and text messages that poke holes in Lively's narrative. And while she's busy painting herself as the voice of the oppressed, he's over here pulling receipts like he's running a boutique. And now, the pièce de résistance. Lively is demanding a gag order. Yes, the same person who practically mailed her complaint to the New York Times now wants Baldoni to stop leaking information. Why? Because apparently her leaks are about justice, while his are just retaliatory. The hypocrisy is almost poetic. It's like setting a fire and then complaining about the smoke. Here's the kicker. Lively's team insists that Baldoni's leaks are damaging her reputation. But let's be real. If your reputation hinges on a lawsuit, maybe the problem isn't the leaks. Maybe it's the fact that your scandal is as flimsy as a Hollywood alibi. The gag order, the ultimate Hollywood move when you're losing the public narrative. Blake Lively's team is now scrambling to silence Justin Baldoni and his legal squad, claiming their media leaks are damaging her reputation. Damaging? Honey, the only thing more damaged than her reputation is this lawsuit. Let's break this down. Lively has spent months feeding selective information to the press, spinning a tale where she's the hero and Baldoni's the villain. And now that Baldoni's team is playing the same game, suddenly it's unfair. Make it make sense. Here's the irony. Her entire case hinges on public perception. She went to the press before going to court, filed her complaints in the most public way possible, and even used the hashtag #MeToo movement as a moral shield. But now, when Baldoni hits back with actual evidence, it's retaliatory and unethical. Right, because one-sided PR wars are totally the moral high ground. And let's not ignore the timing. The gag order request came right after Baldoni released footage that undermined her claims. It's almost as if Lively's team realized that their smoking gun was more of a water pistol. At this point, the gag order feels less like a legal necessity and more like a desperate attempt to stop the bleeding. But here's the thing about Hollywood scandals. They're like wildfire. Once it's out there, you can't put it back in the bottle, or in this case, the courtroom. Baldoni's leaks, whether you agree with them or not, have revealed the glaring inconsistencies in Lively's narrative. And no amount of gag orders or PR spin can undo that. So, what does Lively's team really want? Control. They want to control the story, control the narrative, and most importantly, control the outcome. But here's the truth. When you play the PR game, you can't cry foul when the other side plays it better. And now we come to the grand finale where Hollywood reminds us that it's not just a place, it's a mindset. This entire saga, from the allegations to the lawsuits to the media leaks, is the perfect encapsulation of everything we love and hate about Tinseltown. At its core, this isn't a story about justice or accountability, it's a story about egos, reputations, and the never-ending pursuit of public sympathy. Blake Lively is playing the victim, Justin Baldoni is playing the misunderstood hero, and the rest of us? We're just the audience, eating popcorn and wondering how this all ends. But here's the thing, it doesn't end. Not really. Because Hollywood scandals aren't about resolutions, they're about keeping the drama alive. Whether it's through courtrooms, headlines, or conveniently leaked footage, the show must go on. So what's the takeaway? Maybe it's that Hollywood will never stop being Hollywood. It's a place where lawsuits double as publicity stunts, where the truth is whatever gets the most clicks, and where the line between reality and performance is blurrier than ever. In the end, Blake Lively's lawsuit might win her some headlines, but it's also exposed her as the ultimate contradiction. She's the star of her own scandal, the writer of her own narrative, and let's be honest, the producer of her own downfall. And honestly, that's the most Hollywood thing of all. All right, show's over. Hungry for more twists? You know where to find us. Keep that popcorn hot. We'll handle the drama. Want to catch the next showdown in real time? Hit subscribe and buckle up.